Hello and welcome on in to episode 5 of the New World Top 5 Fights. If you have an awesome clip that you want to see in the top 5, you can send that to Kristofer at pvpnewworld.com. And if you guys love the show and you want to help support it, you can always consider becoming a channel member. You get some exclusive emojis and channel badges, as well as a shout out at the end of every video, but it's mostly just there if you guys want to help support the show. Now, starting us off today, we have got Danzo, and he is playing Spear and Void Gauntlet. I've never fought this weapon combo before, but I did take a peek at Danzo's build, and the idea behind it is to use the Void Gauntlet to apply all of those negative effects and then get a massive damage bonus on the Spear. And as you could see there, he put huge burst into that player and brought him down. He starts fighting against this Hammer player, goes for the stun. The Hammer player has the grit. Danzo dodges backwards to avoid the stun off the Hammer, and then he goes right back in, poking with the Spear, trying to land that kick. Excellent job iframing those attacks though, and Danzo finally connects the stun at the end and then gives him a poke as he falls off the edge to finish him off. And then he turns on this other player here, shoots the Void Gauntlet at him, and then starts jumping on top of him with the Spear. The enemy bow player putting quite a bit of damage in. Danzo gets on top in time, hits him with the stun, and then tries to hit the follow-up. The enemy player quickly getting out of there with his rapier, and Danzo staying on his tail here, continuing to apply those negative effects with the Void Gauntlet. And Danzo tries to go for the attack there. The enemy player gets the riposte, and Danzo just ends up dodging out from the riposte stun and then jumps right back on top of him. Tries to hit him there with the Void Gauntlet. Unfortunately, the archer stopped moving, so he ends up missing that, but he's staying right on this guy's tail. And there's a nice connection with the gap closer there from the Spear. Unfortunately, he's taking a lot of pressure from this enemy NPC here too, but he manages to lock down the rapier player and finish him off with that last poke there. And then Danzo quickly finishes off the NPC and heads back towards the enemy spawn. One player here, I think it was the same archer from before. Danzo managed to catch him with a fantastic kick stun there. The enemy player goes for his riposte. Danzo dodges it and then gets right on top of him with the light attack tracking on the Spear, very quickly bringing him down. And then he heads towards this next archer here, trying to get that kick. He dodges through the incoming stun from him, tries to go for the scream. The archer ends up dodging it. Danzo puts down the Oblivion, and that's just going to dot the enemy player up. And look at how beefy his damage is when that guy is stuck in the Oblivion. He very quickly takes him down with the Spear and then starts shooting some projectiles back as he's getting hammered from every direction here. And it unfortunately gets stuck in the rock, and they take him down. Great to see such a unique build doing so well. Now moving on to the next fight, we have got JiggySpice. He's playing in the arena, and unfortunately he's lost both his teammates, and he's left alone for the 1v3 in the arena. He's trying to fight this enemy Fire Staff Rapier player. He's putting pressure on him, and JiggySpice goes for the gap close through everybody just to break a bit of distance. They're right on his tail. He throws the fireball down behind him there, manages to get the potion just in time, and he tries to hit the riposte there, but I think he actually canceled it a little bit early with his evade. And these guys are just staying right on his tail. He's got another burnout ready, though, right through the middle of the group. And he throws down the fireball. The axe player pulling him in there. Unfortunately, JiggySpice taking a bit of damage, and he breaks a little bit of distance, continuing to use flamethrower just to apply pressure, and you can kind of zone people with it. And he goes for a flesh through the group, catching a great riposte on those guys. Goes for the fireball. Nice damage on that. Unfortunately, the Great Axe player interrupting his combo with the Reap there, and JiggySpice taking a lot of pressure, just managing to escape with the flesh, and then the burnout through everybody to get himself a little bit of cover. But this Spear player very low on health. Unfortunately, the fireball hits the player in front and body blocks JiggySpice from getting the kill, so he's forced to retreat again, and just turns around, keeps putting the fireballs in, but these guys are staying very close to him. The damaged player actually coming back here as well, but JiggySpice putting good pressure into him right away with the Fire Staff, and he catches that riposte. One light attack to finish him off, and now the flames have showed up, and there's 2 players left. JiggySpice again just breaking a bit of distance, switching into the flamethrower. Huge distance on the Reap there from the Great Axe player, just pulling him right out of the flamethrower. And JiggySpice kiting out with the burnout, getting good damage on that player as well. And there's the riposte. They do end up getting hit by it. He goes for the fully charged heavy attack. He does have the fireball ready, but I think he's saving it to try to get that finish. There you see the player very low on health. JiggySpice almost finishing him off, and the burnout through him as he tries to drink a potion. And just like that, it's the one-on-one. There's a beautiful riposte on the incoming hammer player. The hammer player, very quick though, ends up dodging the counter stun. And JiggySpice just keeps applying pressure with Flamethrower here as the circle gets smaller and smaller. Great job iframing the incoming attacks from the hammer player, switching to the rapier, and finishes him off with a couple pokes. Moving on to the next fight, we've got DeityVengy coming back again with some bow and spear. And this time he's playing an OPR. He's got quite a few players chasing him. He gets the counter stun, goes for the heal, and tries to break more distance from these guys. But unfortunately, he finds himself stuck in a little bit of terrain there. He quickly turns around, just gets clipped by the stun, but he rolls through the enemy group, goes for the counter stun on this bow player, and he throws the javelin. But I think that player popped Berserk right before the javelin hit, so he doesn't get stunned. But great job just singling him out as a target, putting huge pressure into him, and then hits him with the poke at the end to finish him off. There's a great combination of stuns on the healer there, and Deity just doing his best to stay alive. He eats the stun from behind, just managing to roll away in time, puts the potion in, and he turns around, hits this guy with the javelin, putting good damage into him, but the healer jumping on top of the friendly player right away, and Deity's not going to be able to capitalize on that, so he just keeps kiting back and keeps the pressure on with his bow. Fantastic swap to the spear, hitting that stun, and then hits him with the javelin to finish him off. And now it's just Deity and the enemy healer, and yeah, this guy eats this stun, and Deity just hits him with a whole lot of damage, and he takes him down. Moving on to the next fight, we have got Tootulz playing some arena, and this is a pretty cool fight. He's got sword and shield spear in medium armor, and there you see he gets a great kill on one of those players, very quickly just closing the gap to some safety with the sword and shield, but it looks like the remaining players are melee fighters for the most part, and he's just trying to control the distance, goes for the sword and shield stun, hits him with the spear, turns around, goes for the kick on the spear as well, and he just keeps the pressure on these guys. Fantastic job dodging all these incoming attacks, and he tries to get that kick on the spear to finish the enemy player, but he just gets out of range. And Tootulz turns around, quickly puts some damage into the player behind him, iframing the incoming hammer stuns as well. Finds himself low on stam, right away switching to sword and shield, and getting the counter stun, and then just leaving him there, jumping on top of the lower health player, and a beautiful snipe with the javelin. He takes that guy down, and it's just him and the axe player left, and Tootulz does a fantastic job just rotating around this guy. There's the combo stun from the spear into the poke to finish him off. And finally, for the last fight, we've got UnknowmMantra playing some Rapier Void Gauntlet, and he's actually running a full blood tree on the Rapier, even has Flurry there instead of Evade, and he's got 3 enemy players chasing him in the open world, and they just put a lot of damage into him, and Unknown's doing his best to kite and stay alive. He drops down to the bottom here, and now he's got nowhere else to go, so he's forced to fight, turns around, gets good damage with the Void Gauntlet there, throws down the Oblivion for that stam sustain, and then puts good pressure in with the Flourish and finish. And there's so much damage on the Flurry. Oh my gosh, he just chunks those guys. They're all forced to heal up, and he does a great job just kiting back through the group here, reading those incoming attacks. One player very low on health here. I love how he's using that Flurry. He's canceling out of it early instead of waiting the full duration of it, and he just keeps applying Tondo stacks to these guys, and there's that deadly Flourish and finish. He takes that guy down. He's got 2 enemy players left on him now, and he turns around, goes for the Tondo. They're just out of range, but he hits him with a nasty amount of damage on the Flurry, and there's the Flourish and finish. Another player going down to the poke there, and UnknowmMantra on very low health. He gets behind the wagon, managing to kite out the ranged attacks, the Tondo to finish off the downed player, and this spear player just keeping very aggressive on him, but great movement, and he turns around, hits him with the Flourish and finish after landing the Tondo. Really big damage into that guy, and it looks like the enemy players that he's killed have slowly started to come back. One of them has respawned and run back, but he's not flagged yet, and Unknown taking quite a lot of damage from that spear player. Turning around though, landing that Flourish and finish right into the Tondo, so clean, and then he goes for a few pokes off of Flurry, canceling out early with the dodge roll, putting down the Oblivion here as well, and there's the next stack of Tondo. There's the Flourish and finish, big damage. That guy ends up going down, and the 2 enemy players that had respawned and come back keep the pressure on UnknowmMantra, and he eventually gets taken down by them, but a really cool build. What a fantastic fight. And now for the bonus clip, we've got Akinos PvP, And he's playing another cool build. He's got bow and warhammer, and he hits huge numbers on this build. This is a really interesting setup, so I hope you guys enjoy this fight as we say goodbye. A massive thank you to everybody who sent those clips in. I've got links to everybody featured in today's episode down below if you want to check these guys' YouTube channels out. Again, if you want to send in your own clip for the top 5, or if you want to see a build featured on the channel, you can send that to Kristofer at pvpnewworld.com. Check out my Twitch and Twitter if you want to catch that live gameplay and keep up to date with me. And you can check out my website, pvpnewworld.com, written guides to my builds and all the featured builds as well. This show is sponsored by What the Fast. It's a VPN for gamers that can give you better ping to your favorite games. Free to try for the first month. There's a link down below for you guys. And a massive thank you to all of my patrons on Patreon. Thank you to all of the channel members as well. I'm sorry, I did a bunch of videos ahead of time, so I wasn't able to list your names yet, but I will be listing them as soon as I can. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys are looking forward to more in the future, and have a great night, everybody. I'll see you next time.